Outer Orange.
It is time to discuss one of the strongest decks in set 3 overdress. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back, guys. OuterOrange here today, and we are going to be discussing Gravidia from Vanguard, one of the best decks to take competitively to about pretty much every scene that you go to. This is the deck. This is the deck that you want to take if you want to truly see success. There are some decks kind of up there with it. It does have some matchups that aren't as good against it, but overall this deck is so well rounded, gives you everything you need, that it's hard to not want to take this deck sometimes. So today I'm going to be discussing with you exactly what the deck does, kind of like the styles. I made my own kind of version of it. I've actually had a lot of success. This deck is insanely successful, and right before set 4 drops, if you still have some locals or events or snow you want to go to, this is probably the go-to deck. And if you want to make some tweaks, that's perfectly fine. But let's go ahead and talk about Gravidia. I got my Space Mommy. I showed this shirt before, but I thought I'd show it again. Space Mommy drip. Let's go! Welcome to McDonald's. Welcome to my McDonald's mat. Very, very fun mat. I love using this. It's just hilarious. And here we have Burger Queen in the flesh and all that stuff. But we are here today, so let's go ahead and start talking about the deck for obviously, because that's what we are here for. Orders, grade 3s, 2s, 1s, 0s, and then we got the red deck right here. So that's pretty much what we're going to do. But before that, it's deck box time, right? Actually, a deck box that I got for Christmas from Noman. So I'm using the ReZero deck box for this one. I really like ReZero, especially season 2. It's amazing. Echidna, best girl. But he gave it to me. I love it. Thank you so much. And then I'm also using the Rydex sleeves. So I'm using Look here. These are actually also from Noman. So big shout outs to Noman for giving these to me. So here's what they look like. I got these I got these from 50 cards, or I got them on TCG. I don't remember where, but this is the Ox sleeves right there. Now I do want to note something is kind of like a big cautionary here. I do run my ride line differently from what other people run. A lot of people run the Orphis Gravidia ride line, and while I do run some Orphis cards, I actually did not run the Orphis ride line. I'll kind of explain why, but this is and I did test the Orphis ride line before. I actually prefer this ride line a little bit more, and I'll get into why here in a little bit. But anyway, so this is our starter. I'm gonna put starter right here. I'm probably just gonna keep our ride line here. The grade 1, this is Wells. This is Gravidia Wells right here. Now, you might be asking yourself, why are you running this over at the Orphis one, where you can pretty much search for the world order, blah, blah. I actually prefer searching for the meteors, so that way I have access to them. I usually don't pick up like every single one I see. I usually pick up 2 or 3, because this skill says on place on Vanguard, you can look at top 7, grab as many meteors as you want. Meteors it being these. Meteors it being these are the meteors, is what they look like. And I personally like this early on more, because usually that means I'm deck thinning a little bit, which means I can aggro for a kill sooner. I run a very aggressive engine. Now the other version is pretty aggressive too, but I think this version is more aggressive. At least I think running this makes it more aggressive. While you do get access to your shield token every single time, I actually prefer just deck thinning and drawing into what I need as soon as possible. But that's just me. I think it's more of a preference thing, but I do run Wells for that. I never use the second skill. There is a second skill, but we only run one, so it's just for the Vanguard skill. But that's our ride line. 2 is I run the Gravidia Barringer, again for the same reason. You Soul Blast 3, draw a card. So this is just, I think this card's just really good. She also becomes a 15k beater on your grade 2 turn, which is extremely important, by the way. This is like extremely versatile. This 15k is what makes a difference. I run a really aggro engine, and we'll kind of talk about the aggression here in a little bit. I do have her as a rear guard, but we'll talk about her as a rear guard later. And last but not least, we have Gravidia herself. Amazing card. This is on place. You get 2 meteors from deck, put them into the order zone, and then the meteors activate, so you can soul charge and draw a card. Usually you will not be soul charging, and I'll get into this in kind of a little bit. You don't want to soul charge that much with this deck at all. Actually, the biggest weakness is deck out, and you definitely do not want to deck out. So you have to be very cautious what you draw. They're both maze. You don't have to draw. You don't have to soul charge. So you can choose. You do have to do it in an order though. So you soul charge, draw, soul charge, draw. But just keep in mind that you don't have to soul charge. You can just draw. Or you can do soul draw, whatever it is. Just keep that in mind. She does have a secondary skill, very strong secondary skill. When she attacks, you can counterblast 1, drop some meteors. So you have to drop at least 1 for the skill. So if you drop any, you get 15k. If you drop 3 specifically, you get a crit, and then if you drop 5, you get the double triggers. Now keep in mind, with this deck specifically, we will not be going for that 5 meter condition unless you just are in a really bad situation. I did do it once where I was at My opponent pushed me to 5 because they crit it early, so I actually had to double trigger them. So I actually went for the full lethal, and I double healed, double critted, and I ended the game. So sometimes on a very rare basis you may go into it, but it's like 1 in every like 100 games or something. You usually are templing out your meteors because we don't run all 16. You can run 16 meteors, by the way. You're not going to run all 16, so because of that, you want to make sure that you really utilize when you're going to use them. It's extremely tempo focused. You have to be very careful. Keep note. This is a deck where you have to keep note of your opponent's hand, like pretty much at all times, because if they're holding a perfect guard, it may not be that wise to go super aggro, but on the other hand, maybe if you want to shred that perfect guard early, you may want to go for it. So something to keep in mind, but that's pretty much what that does. So that is the Gravidia. Let's go into our grade 3s. So we run 3 more Gravidias. Obviously, Persona is insane in this deck. It makes the magic numbers even more magical. So this is the rest of Gravidia. You Persona ride, you draw a card, you get initial 10k, and this is an on-place ability. So every single time you ride on top, you do get the ability to take some meteors out of deck and put them into your order zone, which is insanely important. So you definitely want to keep note of that. This is extremely good because you're deck thinning, you're drawing, and you're increasing your chances of pretty much meteoring as much as possible. So you definitely want to do this as like you want to see this, and usually because of how much this deck draws and how much this deck filters, you will see at least 2 of these every single game. Sometimes you'll see 1, but for the most part you will see these unless all of them fall into damage or something, but you actually see these quite a lot. Last but not least, I run the Twisting Bulldoze for the grade 3. I'm not crazy about this card. I mainly just run it because of the fact that it's a magic number. It pretty much says when it attacks, you can counterblast Soul Charge and it gets 10k, so this becomes 23. If you have a booster behind it, it becomes 31, and then on top of other stuff, it can get even higher. So it's just it's your biggest beater in this deck right now, and that's why I run it, just to have that extra beatdown. I run it for other reasons too, and I'll get into this kind of in a little bit, but it's about making magic numbers, and having a 15k behind this will make this total 38, and 38 is an insanely good number to attack at your opponent's Vanguard with. So I run the Shield grade 2. This is the shield. This is the shield grade 2. This is Gravidia Stanner. I run 4 copies of Stanner. This is mainly for the fact that she gets 5k, it becomes a 15k base, but she also gets 5k shields. So that means that if you were to intercept with her, or if you were to guard with her from hand, as long as you have 5 meteors between your order zone and your drop zone, you will get the additional 5k. So this, sometimes you can activate this early, sometimes you can't, just kind of depends. But these being 15ks is the most important part, because we're going to go ahead and talk about the other card, which is the Gravidia Barringer. So this card can become a total of a 20k beater, but usually it's made for the 5k. She gets 5k if you're as a rear guard, if your order zone has the same condition as this one. So pretty much if your order and drop has 5 meteors, you get the additional 5k. So she also becomes a 15k attacker. Now this is very important because you can actually early call both of these out and have the ability of both of them, but you can also wait a turn and kind of wait it out. I run a card in here that makes these even more useful, so we'll kind of get into these in a little bit. There's a lot of functionality behind these, more than what I just explained. Let's go talk about our grade 1s, and the orders are right here, so we'll get into the orders. So I run 2 Bomba Mine. Bomba Mine is just really good for the counter charger, and you can self-wipe it in case you're facing decks that will retire you anyway. It just self-wipes itself and it gives you the counter charge. It's just very useful, good. And then I run the 4 perfect guards right here. I actually want to talk about the orders first, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about the orders because this is extremely important. I run a total of 10 meteors. So here they are. There's the meteors, and in case you need a rundown again of what they do, they when they're placed into the order zone, you can pretty much soul charge 1. Has a secondary skill. If your Vanguard, if it's placed through a Vanguard ability, you can draw a card. Then it has another skill. When these get put from your order zone to your drop zone, for every one that you put, you can retire your opponent's field. So essentially, if you put 3 from your order zone to your drop zone, then you are retiring 3 rear guards. If you do 2, you're retiring 2 rear guards, and so on and so forth. So you can actually board wipe with these cards as well, which is amazing. You can do this when you swing with Gravidia right here. So go ahead and talk about the grade 2 orders that I have in here, because these are super important. It's part of the engine that makes this whole thing kind of come together. So here I have Retablishment Deck, and we have the Orphist Eclipse Moonlight. And you might be wondering to yourself, why in the world I'm running this? I get asked this question so much. It's not even funny. Like, I think every person I have faced has asked me why I run these, and I try to explain each time, and I don't know if it like makes sense to some people until they actually see the deck function. So this card is very simple. It says Counterblast 1. When this card's put in the order zone, you draw a card, which is really good early on. And then it has a secondary skill. It says all your grade 2 rear guards get boost. This is insanely important. So as we discussed earlier, your grade 2s become 15k attackers. But what if they also became 15k boosters? So this pretty much opens you up to more options. Your opponent board wipes you, for example, board wipes your shield token with this card, and you don't have any other 15Ks anymore. Well, guess what? If you draw into a grade 2, you now have a 15K booster on top of a 15K attacker. And this actually synchronizes really well with the grade 3. If you have something like this, where you have this attacking and this boosting behind it, this is a 38K column. And if you are on Persona Ride, this is now a 48K column. So which is insane. Your opponent has to super guard this. If you want triggers or whatever, this is gonna be really hard guard. Another thing that you can do is you can actually put this behind Gravidia, making this yet again a really high column. Gravidia by herself will be 28. If you put this behind it, it'll be 43. It means your opponent is pretty much at the point where they have to perfect guard this attack anyway, and sometimes they'll just say no guard because they literally can't guard it. Having the option to have 3 15K attack boosters is just really good. On top of that, it just gives you just more access to just everything. Like I said, if you lose your shield token, you can't get it back. Like that's it. You lost it, and you lost it for the whole game. But these essentially become more Shadow Army tokens. This is what these are. They're 15K Shadow Army tokens. On top of the fact that I'm sorry, not this one. This is what they turns the grade 2s into Shadow Army tokens. Now, granted, keep in mind, I am not running like that many grade 2s because I don't have too many. But because you draw so fast, you'll see them pretty fast. On top of the fact that these gain shields, they can put these in the front and put these in the back, and then you're fine. So it's just really nice. Of course, you can also put these in the back, do whatever, and you could just, but the fact that this creates magic numbers is nice. On top of the fact that it also gives you a draw. Now, the draw is a little spooky, and I've been told that as well. I'm with them. I'm aware. The draw is spooky, so usually the earlier you see this, the better, because you can just do it, and then you have the grade 2 rush pretty much every single turn. But you do have to keep in mind, it does force you to draw, so just be careful. Last but not least, of course, we do run the Eclipse Moonlight. This essentially does the same thing that the grade 2 boosting does. It gives you a Shadow Army token. And the Shadow Army token is a 15K attacker, 15K booster, 15K whatever you want it to be. It's just also really, really nice because, you know, for one counterblast, you pretty much get this. The only downside is if you lose it, you can't get it back because this is, you know, you only have one of these. You can run 2 and then, you know, just do it again. I personally just think that this is just a better alternative. I think choosing between the both of them is just also really good. Sometimes I'll see both in hand, and usually I'll go into this just for the extra draw early, and then like on my grade 3 ride, I'll go into this to get the extra card. So this gives me the extra draw, this gives me the extra power, and they both give me what I want. So I just kind of like both of them for their own reasons. I have been talking about this order for so long because this is until the end of the game. It's not till the end of the turn. Keep that in mind. You have this boost pretty much to the end of the game. Unless an opponent has some way to kill off your order, this is not going anywhere. Triggers, which are also insanely important. Your trigger lineup does make a difference. A lot of people may not know this, but it does make a difference. So of course we run OT. OT makes definitely a big difference. And then we've got our 4 heals, our 3 fronts, 4 regular crits, and then 4 more regular crits. Now you might be asking yourself, OuterOrange, what about the crit trigger that goes into soul? There's a little bit of interaction you can do with that one. It's specifically for prison. If you're facing a prison matchup, you can imprison your crit and then just bring it back to the board and then give 2k to something. However, this deck doesn't really have an issue with soul to begin with, so I don't really see a reason to run that card too much. You can maybe get away with 1 if you really just want to be extra spicy for that weird prison matchups they may bump into. However, they are 4Ks, and a 4K and a 5K, at least right now in the current meta that we are in, is a significant difference. It is actually a huge difference. If you are on the edge of the line and you are about to lose, and this is the last thing, and you're holding triggers and they're all 4Ks, you are in big trouble. But if you're holding 5Ks, you are safe. You have a chance to potentially win the game. And why is that? I probably may have already uploaded a video about like how overdress numbers work. If you put a 5k crit trigger behind your Vanguard, that makes an 18k attacker, which means they already have to guard with a 10k. It means that they can't guard with a 5k for a 1 to pass anymore. If this was a 4k and you're attacking for 17, your opponent could put a 5k down, that's already a 1 to pass. That is a huge difference. Forcing your opponent to use as much shield as possible is an insanely big difference and will change your gameplay. You will potentially win off of the fact that you're creating numbers that your opponent has to guard in a certain way. So I run the 5ks over the 4ks. I do run the fronts because fronts are just in general just really good in terms of shield. But honestly, if I can make these 5ks, I probably would consider it. That's why some people run draws over the fronts, because they are 5ks over these 4ks. But I have so many 5ks, my heals are 5ks, the crits are 5ks. I think I can get away with the fronts being the 4ks in here. This is huge. This is a huge difference. And actually we saw it even in action. We saw it in BRO and stuff like that. There are some decks that can't do this. There's some decks that need the crit trigger. For example, Bear Magnus is a good example. This deck does not really need the crit trigger with the extra soul condition. That 2k is not making a difference. Your numbers are already huge. Usually you'll be hitting your magic numbers anyway. So in case your opponent board wipes you and you're holding a bunch of crit triggers, this is the best way to approach it. You can choose to change it up. You can choose to change it up to, it is still at the end of the day your deck versus my deck. So you do what makes you comfortable. I just personally have seen a lot more success by running the 5ks. That may change, of course, that may change depending on meta, but that's just personally what I just how I feel. But this is pretty much the deck. This is what I have been running. Let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of kind of mini cobbling that you can do. So let's go scoop this up and do that. All right, so I'm gonna do kind of like a quick rundown through like all the ride line, how it works here, because this deck is kind of a little bit hard to see until you actually see it. So let's go ahead and do our mulligan here, and I'll talk about kind of like what a good mulligan versus bad mulligan is. This mulligan isn't crazy good, but it's not terrible either. We have our persona in here. We are going to drop our triggers, and I even would consider dropping the meteor just so we can hope to hit a potential grade 2 or just something of use to us. That's another meteor, that's another crit, and that's another meteor. Wow, we did not get anything that was of use. Was the next card? Oh, just another meteor. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle, do our thing. We'll draw. Probably drop a meteor here to ride into Wells. Use Wells' skill. Look at top 7 for some meteors. 4, 5, 6, 7. We do hit 2. 2 is usually a good spot. I don't recommend going past 2. Unless you're just really itching to just use your meteors, but usually you don't want to go past 2. You're mainly just grabbing them to deck them a little bit, but also to do an early soul charge, which we're going to do here. You want an early soul charge so that way your grade 2 ride line gets the ability that it needs. So you bring these to hand. Then you want to play one essentially. So we'll play this one. We'll soul charge 1. We soul charge the PG, and then it is now your opponent's turn. They'll attack you. You want to take the damage, and then we're gonna go. And so sadly enough, we're not getting our main engine here, but we'll drop another meteor to go into the grade 2. And then you can use her skill to Soul Blast 3 and draw a card. Another meteor. Oh my gosh. In this point, I'm actually going to go and play this straight off the bat. So we'll Counterblast, draw a card, and now our grade 2s have boost. But unfortunately, we don't have any grade 2s. This is 5k on it, by the way. So I'm actually just going to... probably just going to slap this down back here and just go in. You know, do my check. And I'll probably just kill this so they can't deny me. They're probably going to hit me. I've got blocked. I mean, I blocked that, so there I go. And now we drew. We're probably gonna drop this trigger to go into Gravidia. So here is Gravidia. Use her skill on place. Let's get 2 more meteors. So there's 1, there's 2. In this situation, we are gonna draw. Right now, we're still in the early game, and we can still get away with drawing. So we're gonna draw. Hopefully we'll hit grade 2s. I normally hit something by now, but it's okay. We do have like a little bit of help here. We have the Eclipsed, so we'll be like okay, but it would be nice to get some grade 2s here, which we do not. Wow, this doesn't usually happen like this crazy, but it's okay. We can play this, Counterblast, get our token. So now we have our token right here. Sadly, we don't have anything else to really call out, so this is kind of like, you do want to be cautious kind of what you do here. We would probably swing at the Vanguards. This is where the skill activates. You may just want to play 1 for now, you know, maybe kill something and just go for your drive check. There's the grade 2s that we need, and then you can just swing with this, do whatever, and then it's their turn. You're probably gonna take some damage here because we're gonna need it, and then we're passing it along to me again. Oh, we have to guard a little bit. Probably guarded with like, I don't know, probably guarded with like this and this. And then we go. I already drew, didn't I? Yeah, I drew. So now we can persona ride, persona, draw, get some more meteors. So here's some more meteors. And then we can draw for those, choose not to, up to you. I'm going to draw off of them because I think I need it, because I'm trying to hit my grade 2s. So we did just hit some grade 2s there. Trying to think here how I want to do this. We'll call this out here, move this back. Probably call, how much soul do we have? Exactly 3 soul. Might push it for 1 more draw. It's a little spooky, but I might push for 1 more. So we'll call this out here. Call this back here. Use her skill to soul blast 3. Draw. So it's another grade 2. That's perfect. We're going to put that grade 2 down here. Now keep in mind, at this situation that we are in, and we haven't even played a meteor yet. Let's play a meteor from hand too. In this situation, you now have, so we're on persona. So this is 40, 40, and this is going to be total 53, I believe. So it'll be 28, 43. This will be 53. So this is pretty much kind of the ideal board that you want to get like as soon as possible. And usually I start this board early, like on grade 2. We just kind of missed it, but it's okay. It happens. So then we're going to swing. We'll kill 3 of these so we can enable the crit on the opponent with the counterblast. And then opponent does whatever, we do our check, crit, we could put it, you know, wherever you want, and then check, we get a normal unit, and then now these are swinging for 40 on each side, 1 is 50, and your opponent has to like super block this, and they're kind of in the danger zone here, because they might just die here. It's kind of depending, but that's pretty much how you would play that out. Again, like if we were to keep going, you could take another damage. You have plenty of guard, because this deck guards like crazy well. You can, if you don't want to draw anymore, you can drop this as well. You can guard with this as well. They might attack your rear guards, guard them. Keep in mind they are 15k bases, so your opponent can't do too much with them. And then say we draw again, you're gonna reset up. We don't have anything, we'll just play a meteor from hand, and then guess what, you're just going again. And you can drop 3 more if you want for the crit, or you can drop 1, whatever more is most comfortable to you. You can do another drive check, another crit. Okay, over trigger, draw. I think that just ended the game, but I write that in there because this is pretty much, these are 80s, I believe they're 80s. They're 40, no, they're 30, they're 60 each with 2 crit on them. So I think that just literally secured the game. But just like that, you can kind of see how we're just pretend OT didn't happen, even without OT. But you can kind of see where you're getting. And we still have a little bit of we're still kind of okay on deck, but this is like kind of where the deck out is what I was talking about. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards left in deck. We're getting pretty close to deck out. But honestly, like I think at this point your opponent should be dead. If we had the grade 2 rush, it would have been a little bit better. Like it would have been able to clean up even faster, but this is okay too. So as you can see, like instead of having 1 shield token out, you pretty much have 3, and because of that you're just going as aggro as possible. You usually won't miss this engine. That's why I run 2 of these, just in case I miss one I can grab the other one, and in case something falls into damage or whatever. I do want to see, as long as I see 1 of these, I'm pretty okay. Usually I prefer seeing this over this because this just works faster, but as you can see, you can just kind of push and just go crazy. But that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed that little bit of explanation. That was actually a really good mulligan game to kind of explain like the full deck. We saw pretty much everything we need to see aside from like a little bit of an early rush, but that's okay, it happens. Most of the time you don't want to, you know, use shield token early anyway, so I mean you're our shadow army token anyway, so it just usually works out regardless. But yeah, so as you saw there, the deck just kind of explodes and you can just easily literally explode. You retire, you draw, you countercharge, you have beefy columns, you have a crit pressure, aggro, everything you need, the draw power, soul charging, whatever you need you have pretty much in your arsenal, and you can use what you need to pretty much just win. And that's why this deck is doing extremely well, while it's showing a lot of success. You just have a lot of utility and flexibility to do what you want without your opponent really doing much. On top of the fact that you're also board wiping your opponent, which can be very detrimental to them. If you guys enjoy it, whether you build my version or you build the world Orphis version that some people run, whatever you decide to do, Gravidia is just in general strong. Other than that, guys, it's been real, it's been fun. Catch you guys in a future video. Peace out, das Svidania, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.